if you're looking to work with your district managers, the best advice I can give you is pick up a very inexpensive book. It's called Multi-Unit Leadership by Jim Sullivan. It's a great reference guide for new district managers or anybody who's out in the field who has multi-units. It's a wonderful resource for them.
I need that resource. Yeah.
So, in my background being construction, as I remember almost apologizing for getting into the industry because I chose not to go to college. And in the hospitality, we tend to find a lot of people that are looking at the hospitality industry as being something different than going to the University of Washington, for example. But I noticed that that's changing now, and I noticed that we're starting to see more pride instilled in being a great chef or being a great operator, manager, and stuff. And so there's a reason for that, and I know that both your companies have experienced, know why that is happening. In regards to growth within your own organizations, how does someone go from good to great in your company?
Oh boy, they have to have that internal drive, and then once they have that spark, that kernel, then we just work with them. And we did move away from a direct patriarchal management style to a more coaching environment several years ago. And so we really focus on getting people to where they want to go and figuring out what's exciting to them and try to match up where they have that energy. And we're fortunate enough to have a couple of places to move them from here or there and management styles too. The other thing I really hit hard with our team is really focus on the effort and not the outcome, so people aren't afraid to be creative and innovative and make mistakes, because that just squanders that beautiful, beautiful thing. So we hit that pretty hard, and when we do have managers that are not quite hitting on all cylinders there, we do talk to them as quickly as possible, because it can cause some pretty intense turnover when you have that style. So the coaching mentality and constantly be learning and teaching, I think, is important.
Yeah, one of the best things about the restaurant industry compared to other industries is we have opportunities to learn and grow every single day. You know, if you just serve lunch and dinner, or if you serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you have 2 or 3 times where somebody needs to step up and be a leader every single day. So we're always looking for what we call our everyday learning opportunities for our people, and it starts with just getting them involved in what's going on in the restaurant industry. You know, there's a great big world that's going on beyond your 4 walls, and just getting telling them about different Twitter feeds or Google alerts that they can sign up for, or the National Restaurant Association Smart Brief, so that they're aware of what's going on in their industry, either within the state or nationally, or new trends that are going on, and keep them excited about the restaurant industry. That's one thing. If somebody wants to become, step up to become a shift leader, which is what we call our entry-level managers, we'll have them practice running a pre-shift meeting a couple of times a week. Force them to get their thoughts organized and work on their communication skills and set goals for the staff and all those things that you could buy a $2,500 DVD series about leadership, but you don't need to, because you work in the restaurant industry and those opportunities come to you every single day. So we do everything that we can to focus on those little things, build people up, expose them to different areas of the operation, have them sit in with the general manager when the general manager is doing the interviewing, budgeting, scheduling, food ordering. Sit down with the general manager once a month and go through the P&L. So there's a lot of, we have a whole list of items that we can offer people so that they can see, learn more about the company that they work for. And then we have, as I'm sure you do, we have an employment path as well. So, if you're starting here, here's a list of things that you need to go through to get here, and so forth, so that they can see that the opportunities ahead of them and know exactly what they need to do to grow into those opportunities.
So do we have any operators that have, say, less than 5 restaurants here, or 5 locations? Are there similar challenges? Is there any difference between small and large? Is it a resource issue, or is it just ma'am, if you don't mind, thank you. So the problems are workforce, consistency, getting people to do it. You as well? Right? And so so when it comes to, it's not really the size of the company, it's how it's managed, right? And it's whether you're attractive in a very difficult market. Is that a problem right now as far as finding people to come and work for your industry? Good people. Cooks. Okay. Cooks, right. And so when it comes to the smaller business, if you don't mind me, right now, so what are the challenges? What's keeping you?
I mean, I'm just a cook. I'm not the.
Here's a great
We're
example.
hiring.
So as a cook, you're not having a problem finding any work right now? Okay.
I work for a restaurant in Port Angeles, First Street Haven.
Excellent. Challenges back there? No? That you guys are running into? Okay, great. So it's fairly consistent when it comes to the challenges, just different resources. Let me slip back here. So in your strategies of management and helping people grow, how do you also do that in regards to, like, how many employees do you have?
850, I think, right now.
850?
And we're about 900 to 950 right now. We'll grow to about 1,300 in the summer.
So that's kind of where I was going, is that to go to a 30% increase over a certain amount of time, what are the things that you concern yourself with under those conditions? Just quick growth and then letting them go?
Well, we have different. A lot of the people we hire for those positions will be for our sports and entertainment division. So they know going in that the job ends when the sports season ends. Now, some of them will transfer between. Some of them will work with the Mariners and then go over to the Seahawks afterwards, but a lot of them, you're just looking for a job. One of the nice things about working at the stadium is, 99% of the games are in the nights and weekends, and so it's for people who are oftentimes looking for a second job.
So they have experience.
Yeah. So they're just looking for something to round out their income, and our biggest challenge is when there's a day game. That's always the hardest part. When there's a day game during midweek, and suddenly at 2 o'clock, most of our workers can't come because they've already got another job. So that's a challenge for us as well.
No, I don't have any comments.
The thing is that if you have to build up a workforce by 30% in a certain amount of time, you do run the risk of not getting as good as your normal core staff. And so you having people that have two jobs, that complements that.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with how training has been going these days. Training used to be, you had 4 hours and you could deliver a class and, all the time in the world back 10 years ago before the recession. Now it's a lot about micro-learning. It's about getting that information as quickly as you can to the employees in little itty-bitty chunks, a little bit every day. And why pre-shift meetings are such a big part of what we do, because we have to be able to communicate a lot of information very quickly and sometimes repetitively till everybody gets it. But micro-learning, we don't use big binders anymore, big manuals, that people used to read all through. We still have them; they're kind of our Bible of standards. But we've had to figure out how to deliver information in quick bites. We use a lot more e-learning now, and you just have to figure out how to get the information to them quicker.
Do you do post shifts too?
Pardon?
Post shift?
No, we haven't done that yet.
No. We've been toying with the idea of making sure that each manager checks out with somebody and just says, "Hey, how was your day? Let's talk about it for a couple minutes," and in order to reinforce the pre-shift and continue on.
That's something that we need to work on.
Right.
Are there any questions from the audience? Please. I'll just stay down here.
My question has to do with the interviewing process, not just in our restaurants, but in I work for a hotel company, and I can't figure out why we have such a challenge with, and I know my colleagues have the same problem, no-shows to interviews, everything from cooks to chefs no-showing, department head managers. Why, and what are you guys doing to combat that, other than, I'll pay you so much money if you show up? Or?
Are you having that problem?
We are having that problem as well. And part of it is, I think because, this is just my guess, I don't really know, but we have tried to make it as easy as possible for people to apply. Lately, it's just hard to find really good people, and so we do, if they want to turn in a written application, great. If they want to email us, if they want to go online, we have a lot of different ways for people to apply, and then we get that information to the managers. And then same situation. Their managers call them, they agree to an interview time, and just never show up. And it's been a challenge, especially as Devony was saying with cooks. We're not sure what the reason is, and we're not sure why it is, other than we probably make it too easy for them to apply. And so people who are just applying for everything are, seeing our job, think, oh yeah, I'll apply for that. But then when it comes time, I have no idea. It's beyond my comprehension why somebody would say, why they just wouldn't say, you know what, I'm not interested anymore. So it is a challenge, and I know it's happening to other colleagues as well, not just here in Seattle, but across the country.
I'm not experiencing that much of it, and we do experience people not showing up for Valentine's Day or reservations. but we are, by and large, most people show up to their interviews with us by the time we get them.
Quick question, do you add in the gratuity now into the people's bills, and how is that working? And how are you dealing with just the cost of living in Seattle? My business is in Seattle proper, and the cost of living here is outrageous. And how are you combating that? I mean, you can only charge so much for a sandwich or a chicken salad. So what are you doing with your, how do you work it?
Well, we changed our how we structure our pay last year in April. We have two full-service restaurants in Seattle, Acres of Clams and the Salmon House. Acres was closed at the time for remodeling, so the Salmon House was our one and only restaurant. But we, instead of doing the tiered progression up to 15, we just took everybody right to 15 right away. So everybody makes at least $15 an hour. And I say at least because some folks like lead line cooks make a little bit more. I think the lead hosts make a little bit more. And then servers and bartenders make $15 an hour, plus they get an 8% commission on what they sell personally. And then everybody else in the restaurant makes $15 an hour, plus they share, it's revenue sharing. They share a pot of about 9% of the sales for that day. And it's based on how many hours they worked and the position that they have. Pardon?
Didn't you lose a lot of your good servers by doing that? Because
No.
if you're a good server...
Not really. No, because here's what happened. We did lose one. There was one right at the very beginning who was against the whole program, even before he knew what it was going to be. He said, he was texting the manager saying, I know you guys are going to screw us. I know this is going to happen. And didn't like the program, and he eventually left. But here's what happened. About 3 or 4 weeks after we took the tip line off, we added it back on because guests were saying, we get it. You're taking full responsibility for your employees, you're paying them, but we still want a tip. We still want to leave a tip on top of that. So we said, okay. So we put the tip line back on, and it says, you are not obligated to tip at all, but if you'd like to, here's a little line. So about 40% of our guests still leave a tip, and about 10% of them, which is about 10% of their bill. So servers now are getting $15 an hour, an 8% commission, and some tips. So most of them are making quite a bit more than they made before. So most of them are very, very happy and doing very well.
Okay, so then tell me how you work this. If you have a dishwasher or a prep person that comes in at $15 an hour, well, then what are you paying your lead people? There's just not that much of a...
Right, they're getting a little bit more per hour, and when I say they split the 9%, it's based on their position as well. So a dishwasher doesn't get as much of that pool as a prep cook, and a line cook makes even more than that, and a lead line cook, and then and so on. So it does work out to there is a difference between the two, but everybody is fairly well paid.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Have you seen the numbers of your guest counts go down because you've had to raise your prices so much?
That's a really challenging one. I will say, for Acres of Clams, that's a tough one to answer, because the construction project, we closed for 9 months to do a remodeling, and the construction project out in front was supposed to be done at the same time. It wasn't. It's still not. It's been about 10 months longer than that. So we're down about 24-25% at Acres. We expect that to jump way back up once the giant construction project goes away. We were about even last year at the Salmon House when compared to 2014 up through December. We didn't have the greatest December, so we ended up a little bit down, but it was just a little bit down. So we haven't seen a mass defection of our guests. We did have a price increase in quick service as well. Currently, quick service in the city of Seattle, the minimum wage is $13, and outside the city of Seattle, we pay all of our workers at least $11. So we've had to raise the prices in there, but they're still doing great. You know, their guest counts are still up for the year. So it hasn't been what we've expected it to be. You know, we worried. You know, I mentioned that I used to work at a franchise sandwich shop back 20 years ago, right? I still remember the first day we raised the prices. My business partner and I, we were on the verge of throwing up. We were so nervous. And it was just, we were like, everybody's gonna know, they're all gonna stop coming in. Well, I take that back. One person noticed, because he bought the same thing every day, and he put down his money, and it was a different amount of money. And he's like, oh, prices went up. It wasn't the cataclysmic thing that we thought it was going to be, and it never has been. So yes, there have been some more people that have been noticing the prices lately, and we do try to steer them towards you know, different specials that we're having. But we're still surviving, and we're still doing pretty well. So.
We've just adjusted to service charge on February 1st for 3 of our restaurants, and we were worried when we first did it. We were hoping that it would go well, and it has. We haven't had any bad feedback from it. And so now we're going live in the middle of April for the rest of the restaurants. We'll see how that goes. And then ours do something very similar. Everybody makes at least 15 now. For the compression question you're asking, we can't just raise everybody all at once. It's too much. It's just impossible. So our opinion is that, you know, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a line cook or a dishwasher? At some point there'll be some more differentiation between the two, but most people are going to want a forward-moving career path, and they're going to choose that. It's just that at this point in time, everybody just has to make the same amount in certain areas. Leads are making more, obviously, but the compression is so tight. Let's see, as far as the payment for servers, they're not upset, which is good. We have had lots of meetings, lots and lots of meetings, lots of town hall style meetings, lots of communication from our CEO, from me, from Tom, from everybody, just constantly talking to people. We do commission for direct sales, and then we're not paying any of our back of the house people rev share. We're just attending that with raising their wages, but all the front of the house people, and that's based on some of the rulings with some of the things we've done recently relate to the Department of Labor's rulings last week or 2 weeks ago. So we've made some adjustments to be in line with that. And so we do rev share, that's what we call it, similar to Patrick's, for all of the support front of the house. And everybody's making about the same amount of money or more, and they're happy.
Yeah, and I piggyback onto what Devony was saying. You know, when we first did make this change, you better believe our owners and our company president, they were out in the restaurants. They wanted to answer questions for the employees. We had a lot of meetings as well. We didn't want our employees learning about what was going on in the company just by watching a 10-second snippet on the news. We wanted to make sure they heard it directly from the horse's mouth. This is what we're doing. This is what we're trying. It was an experiment at the time because we didn't know how it was going to go either, and so we made adjustments along the way. We felt it was important that our employees knew that we were there. We were going to be there to take care of them. And we were working as hard as we could to make sure that they were whole. When we had our original meeting, we gave them a copy. This is what you earned last year when what your total wages were for last year, and this is what your wages would have been under the new system last year, so that they could see that they would have made about the same amount of money or more. And most of our people are making somewhere between 2 to 15% more than they were earning before.
Do both of you tip pull?
Well, tips are gone.
Yeah, we don't do tips at all. I mean,
so it's commission
and-
based on total sales.
and if they leave tips, it goes to the servers. If somebody decides to leave tips, then it goes to the
Okay, so
servers.
you don't do any tip share at all then?
No.
No.